The illusion of the perfectly blended, modern British royal family hasn't just cracked, guys. It has officially been obliterated into millions of unfixable razor-sharp pieces. And it all went down in the most public, humiliating way imaginable, right under the glittering chandeliers of Windsor Castle. Imagine standing in a room full of international diplomats, high society billionaires and literal heads of state, only to watch the future King of England completely lose his mind, his fists clenched, his veins popping, ready to risk the entire crown over a single, devastating insult that we've all been forced to buy into this neatly packaged lie for years, right? The narrative that everyone just graciously moved on. That Charles's new family and his old family are out here sharing biscuits and singing hymns in perfect harmony. But what if I told you that a single vicious comment from Queen Camilla's fiercely protected daughter, Lopes, completely ripped the mask off this royal circus? What if I told you that she didn't just step across the line? She took a metaphorical torch to Princess Anne's entire life's work, leaving Prince William so deeply, viscerally triggered that the aftermath required an emergency midnight lockdown meeting at Buckingham Palace that solved absolutely nothing. Grab your tea and hold on to your seats because we are stripping away the royal censorship. Before we expose the brutal, unfiltered truth of the clash that changed everything, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and join our inner circle here at Trust Me. You cannot afford to miss a single second of this breakdown. Let's get into it. To truly grasp the absolute magnitude of the explosion that rocked the palace walls that fateful evening, we have to look past the heavily polished, diamond-crusted curtain of the modern monarchy and look at who was actually in the room when the match was struck. We are talking about a highly exclusive, invite-only reception that was explicitly organized to honor Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. Now, if you know anything about the inner mechanics of the British royal family, you know that Princess Anne is not someone you mess with. She is widely regarded by royal biographers, palace courtiers, and even the harshest critics of the crown as the ultimate, undisputed powerhouse of the entire institution. While other members of the family are busy orchestrating elaborate, multi-million-dollar public relations campaigns, flying in private jets to climate change summits, or coordinating their outfits for the cover of high-fashion magazines, Princess Anne is out there silently dragging the monarchy forward on her back. She has clocked over 20,000 royal engagements throughout her lifetime, a staggering, almost impossible number that makes the working schedules of the younger generation look like a casual part-time hobby. She does the unglamorous, gritty, behind-the-scenes work that never makes the front pages of the tabloids but keeps the actual foundation of the British crown credible in the eyes of a deeply cynical public. She rolls up her sleeves, visits the remote community centers, shakes hands with ordinary people in freezing rain, and supports over 300 charities without ever demanding a single round of applause or a curated Instagram post. And that is exactly why Prince William was standing in that room, watching his aunt with an immense sense of pride and genuine admiration. William has made it known in highly confidential palace circles that he views Princess Anne as his absolute role model, the blueprint for how to handle the crushing intergenerational weight of royal responsibility without completely losing your sanity. He was expecting a night of dull but safe diplomatic speeches, polite clapping and warm standard tributes to a lifetime of quiet sacrifice. But the universe, or rather, Queen Camilla's highly unpredictable family tree, had entirely different plans for the evening. Enter Laura Lopes, Queen Camilla's daughter from her first marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles. For years, the palace PR machinery has gone completely out of its way to paint Laura as this fiercely independent, completely detached private citizen who has absolutely zero interest in the messy radioactive politics of the royal household. They want you to believe she is just a regular, hard-working art curator, a humble mother of three who prefers the quiet life of an artist over the blinding flashbulbs of the paparazzi. And to be fair, she has carved out a respectable career in the London art scene entirely on her own merits. But let's be real for a second, guys. You cannot be the daughter of the reigning queen consort, attend highly restricted state receptions, rub shoulders with the global elite inside private royal residences, and then claim you are just an innocent outsider who has nothing to do with the family business. You enjoy the immense wealth, the elite security, the social standing, and the unparalleled privilege that comes with your mother marrying the King of England, which means you are very much a part of the ecosystem, whether you wear a tiara or not. The underlying tension between the old-school royal bloodline and Camilla's newly elevated blended family has been quietly simmering beneath the surface like a tectonic fault line for over a decade. Ever since Charles and Camilla officially tied the knot, the palace has been an absolute minefield of unspoken rules, passive-aggressive side eyes, and strategic seating arrangements designed to keep the peace. Prince William and Prince Harry, even during their better years, always maintained a very strict, highly cautious distance from Camilla's children Tom and Laura. It was a silent agreement, an unspoken treaty that said you stay on your side of the fence, and we stay on ours. But as King Charles took the throne and Camilla was officially crowned queen, the confidence level within Camilla's inner circle naturally began to skyrocket. Suddenly, her children weren't just guests at the occasional holiday gathering. They were frequently seen lingering in the private quarters of the palace, navigating the high society circles with a newfound sense of untouchable entitlement. And that brings us directly to the moment where the entire delicate facade finally came crashing down into the dust. According to incredibly well-placed anonymous insiders who were standing merely feet away from the unfolding disaster, Laura Lopes was positioned near a lavishly decorated champagne bar, surrounded by a small, highly influential group of British aristocrats and high-profile societal figures. The conversation was flowing freely, the champagne was flowing even faster, and as the group looked over at Princess Anne, who was standing across the room in a characteristically simple, unflashy outfit, engaging in polite conversation with a charity director, Laura reportedly decided that this was the perfect opportunity to offer her unfiltered, highly controversial commentary on the future of the British crown. She did not whisper. She did not look around to check who was listening. With a tone that sources described as incredibly smug and dismissive, Laura allegedly stated that Princess Anne's intensely traditional, old-fashioned view of royal duty was completely out of touch with modern 21st-century Britain. She didn't stop there, though. She reportedly went on to imply that the monarchy's survival depends entirely on the fresh, glamorous, media-savvy energy brought in by people like William and Catherine, suggesting that Anne's grueling, low-key approach to public service belonged to a completely bypassed, ancient era that needed to be permanently phased out. Now, on any ordinary day, in any ordinary family, a comment like that might just be dismissed as a slightly rude, generationally insensitive remark made after one too many glasses of expensive wine. But inside the hypersensitive, deeply symbolic world of the royal family, where every single word is weighted with centuries of hierarchy, history, and protocol, that comment was the equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb in the middle of the ballroom. It was a direct, calculated insult delivered at an event exclusively designed to honor Princess Anne's lifetime of unwavering service to the nation. To have a non-working, non-titled individual, someone who has never sacrificed a single day of her life for the British public, stand inside a royal palace and essentially call the king's own sister irrelevant while enjoying the very privileges that sister's hard work sustains, was an act of breathtaking, monumental arrogance. The immediate shift in the room was instantaneous and utterly terrifying. The casual laughter from the surrounding aristocrats dried up in a fraction of a second. Guests who caught the tail end of the remark immediately froze, their eyes darting around the room, desperately looking at the floor or pretending to inspect the historical oil paintings on the walls, praying that the ground would open up and swallow them whole before a full-scale diplomatic incident erupted. The silence that fell over that small corner of the Windsor Castle reception was heavy, thick, and absolutely suffocating. But the real nightmare scenario was already unfolding just a few feet away, because standing completely within earshot, holding a glass that was now completely stationary in his hand, was the Prince of Wales himself. Prince William had heard every single word, every condescending inflection, and every dismissive chuckle that had left Laura's mouth. For a man who has been rigorously trained from the very moment of his birth to maintain an absolute, unbreakable poker face under the most extreme public scrutiny, the mask did not just slip, it disintegrated. Insiders claim that William's entire demeanor changed in a flash, his jaw locking so tightly that the muscles in his face were visibly pulsing, his gaze instantly fixing onto Laura Lopes with a level of pure, unadulterated hostility that left the nearby staff completely paralyzed with fear. This wasn't just a future king being annoyed by a breach of palace etiquette. This was a fiercely loyal nephew watching someone insult a woman he considers the moral compass of his entire family, and he was not about to let her get away with it. The tension in that golden corridor didn't just escalate. It turned into a full-blown psychological deadlock as Prince William took 3 deliberate, heavy steps directly into Laura's circle of high society friends. The surrounding aristocrats cleared out like they were anticipated. By the time the sun came up the next morning, the hidden problems within the palace had intensified to the point of no return. Leaked reports from senior staff members paint a picture of total chaos behind closed doors, with secret memos flying back and forth between Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace. William was reportedly so disgusted by the lack of an immediate, formal apology from Laura that he quietly began implementing a total informational blackout, instructing his staff to ensure that neither Laura nor her brother Tom were included in any upcoming family functions, joint holidays, or private gatherings hosted by the Prince and Princess of Wales. He made it known that as far as he was concerned, the boundary had been crossed, and the casual chummy illusion of a big happy blended family was officially over, but Camilla wasn't about to let her children be banished into the royal wilderness without a fight. She reportedly countered by reminding Charles of the immense sacrifices her children had made over the years, enduring relentless media harassment during the dark days of the 90s without ever complaining or exploiting their connection to the crown. She argued that Laura had every right to express an opinion on the monarchy at a private gathering, and that William's aggressive, bordering on tyrannical reaction was proof that he was becoming increasingly unstable and power-hungry as he got closer to the throne. The accusation that William was letting his temper dictate palace policy cut deeply, creating a chilling frost between the king's office and the heir's office that seasoned courtiers hadn't witnessed since the absolute worst days of the War of the Waleses. As the days dragged on, the atmosphere inside the royal residences became so intensely toxic that even the lowest-ranking footmen and maids could feel the psychological strain. Seating charts for upcoming state dinners had to be completely rewritten from scratch because William made it explicitly clear through his private secretary that he would not sit within 50 feet of Camilla's daughter, nor would he participate in any polite, performative small talk for the cameras. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, found herself playing the role of the reluctant diplomat, trying desperately to smooth things over with Camilla during high-stakes telephone calls, but even her legendary charm couldn't heal a wound this deep. William's anger wasn't just a temporary flash in the pan. It was a deeply rooted ideological stand. For him, this was about the absolute survival of the crown. If the family itself didn't respect the grinding, unglamorous sacrifice of people like Princess Anne, then the whole institution was nothing more than a hollow celebrity-driven reality show waiting to be cancelled by the British public. And that is exactly when King Charles realized that if he didn't intervene with the absolute highest level of authority, the entire House of Windsor would crumble from the inside out, leading him to make the drastic, highly unusual decision to command everyone to appear at a mandatory, closed-door emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace. The atmosphere inside the private drawing room at Buckingham Palace was nothing short of a psychological war zone when the family finally gathered for King Charles's mandatory, closed-door intervention. The room was stripped of all standard palace staff. No footmen, no personal secretaries, and no tea service were permitted inside, ensuring that whatever devastating truths were about to be dropped would remain strictly within the walls of the bloodline. Prince William sat on one side of the mahogany table, his face a mask of rigid, uncompromising steel, with Catherine sitting beside him, projecting a calm but visibly strained composure. On the opposite side sat Queen Camilla, looking fiercely protective, with Laura Lopes standing slightly behind her, her chin held high in a display of unyielding defiance that only added fuel to the fire. King Charles occupied the head of the table, looking incredibly exhausted, aged by the relentless stress of trying to manage an institution that was fracturing at the seams, while Princess Anne sat perfectly upright in the corner, looking completely detached from the drama, as if she would rather be anywhere else in the world than watching her family fight over her honor. King Charles opened the proceedings with a grave, trembling tone, stating flat out that the internal stability of the monarchy was facing an existential threat. He reminded everyone in the room that the modern British public has zero tolerance for palace infighting, and that if a single whisper of this toxic confrontation leaked to the hyper-aggressive tabloid press, it would trigger a public relations disaster from which the crown might never recover. But the moment the king stopped speaking, the fragile peace completely shattered. Prince William did not hesitate. He opened fire with a devastating, articulate critique of the absolute entitlement that had infected the blended side of the family. He stated directly to Laura that her comments were not merely a casual observation about marketing or modern communication, but a systematic degradation of the very values that keep the British crown legitimate. He argued that the only reason Laura was even standing in Windsor Castle drinking expensive champagne and rubbing shoulders with global billionaires, was because people like Princess Anne had spent 50 years working themselves to the bone to keep the institution respected. He made it clear that you do not get to claim the status of a private citizen when it is convenient to avoid public scrutiny, while simultaneously using your mother's proximity to the throne to insult the royal bloodline. Laura refused to be silenced or intimidated by the future king, fired back with a level of raw, unfiltered emotion that left the room completely stunned. She argued that William's intense, aggressive reaction was the real threat to the family, accusing him of creating a toxic, paranoid environment where no one could speak freely without fear of a royal execution. She insisted that she had built her own highly successful career in the art world completely independent of the palace, and that she refused to be treated like a second-class citizen or a disposable step-sibling whenever William wanted to flex his future monarchical authority. Queen Camilla immediately jumped to her daughter's defense, her voice dripping with years of built-up resentment. She looked directly at William and accused him of holding a lifelong grudge, stating that his rage over Laura's comment was just a convenient excuse to punish her children and push them out of the family circle. Camilla reminded Charles of the immense sacrifices her children had made, enduring decades of public mockery and paparazzi harassment without ever complaining, and she demanded that the king protect her family from William's cold, calculated exclusion. The confrontation quickly degenerated into a bitter, multi-generational shouting match, with Charles caught completely in the middle, helplessly trying to restore order as his wife and his heir tore into each other's characters. William reportedly countered Camilla's defense by pointing out the lavish spending, the subtle inflation of lifestyles, and the unofficial palace privileges that Camilla's inner circle had been quietly enjoying since the coronation, viewing it as a quiet, creeping corruption of the traditional royal work ethic. He made it explicitly clear that under his future reign, the boundaries between the working royal family and private step relations would be enforced with an iron fist, and that any further display of disrespect toward the senior bloodline would result in an immediate, permanent ban from all royal properties. The word ban hung in the air like a heavy, suffocating fog, signaling to everyone present that the concept of a big, happy, blended family was dead and buried. Princess Anne finally broke her silence, her sharp, clear voice cutting through the chaotic arguments like a razor. True to her legendary pragmatism, she didn't demand an apology from Laura, nor did she praise William for his defense. Instead, she looked at both sides of the table and told them that their behavior was an absolute embarrassment to the crown. She stated that while she appreciated her nephew's fierce loyalty, the survival of the monarchy depended entirely on their ability to ignore personal insults, put their egos aside, and get back to the actual work of serving the British public. She advised William to stop wasting his energy on careless words, and she warned Laura to remember exactly whose house she was standing in before she offered any more unsolicited advice on modern royalty. Anne's intervention effectively ended the shouting, but it did absolutely nothing to heal the profound psychological rift that had opened up between the two factions. The emergency meeting concluded without a single apology, a handshake, or a resolution. The family left Buckingham Palace through separate exits, returning to their respective residences in a state of absolute, icy deadlock. In the weeks that followed,